I'd like to welcome y'all back to the Beyond the Fear podcast, the place where y'all come for motivation, inspiration, uplifting, and an overall positive message. I'm your host, DJ, and today's episode is really inspired by a question. And that question is it more important for you to be right or to get it right? And the reason why I felt like this was a great question to ask or just to talk about or break down is because I know at one point in time, especially in my relationship, it was more important to be right than to get it right. So what I mean by that is, or the way I interpret the question, there was a time especially in my relationship where the moment I knew that I was right? I knew that something happened. I reacted. I know I wasn't wrong for my reaction. That's all that mattered, was just being right. It didn't matter how like her feelings didn't matter, her opinions, her views, none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered to me was being right. The fact that I'm right, the fact that I am there's that I'm right in what I'm doing and what I'm saying, how I'm feeling, all of that is right. I didn't take for a second, I didn't take into account for how she may have felt, what she may have been going through, the pain she may have been feeling. I just wanted to be right. Nothing else mattered to me. I can honestly say that there was a time when being right meant more to me than the relationship itself. I just wanted to be right. I didn't care what, you know what I'm saying? I didn't care about solving the issue. I didn't care about that. Solving the issue wasn't even my thing, wasn't my focus. My focus was, am I right? And if I'm right, cool. I didn't care about trying to fix the issue. I didn't care about what caused the issue. I didn't care about how that issue may have affected her and how she's feeling and how she's doing and how she's coping with everything that's going on. None of that mattered to me. The only thing that mattered was, am I right? Now, if I wasn't right and I was wrong, then I would apologize for whatever, maybe overreacting or acting without knowing all the information or just assuming something. So those things. So when I was wrong, I was wrong. But when I was right, man, I wanted, it was like it was like I was out for blood when I was right. It was like, no, I won't. It's not enough for me to just be right. I need you to acknowledge that I'm right. And so, man, so when that question was asked, it kind of it made me really just kind of sit back and really think and really just reflect on how much being right was controlling me, was controlling my mind, was controlling my actions, was, and then like I said, it got to a point to where it was probably being right was probably more important than my relationship. And sure, I could give you a bunch of excuses or a bunch of reasons, and some of them would be legit as to why that was, but it should have never gotten to the point where it was more important than my relationship. But it was one of those things where, because for my partner, it was hard for her to take accountability for things. It made me hold on to, man, I'm right. I know I'm right. Like, why can't you see this? Why can't you just, apologize for what you did? Why do I have to go through this and this? And the fact that there was no accountability made me cling to the truth. Like, no, this happened. This is why this is, you know what I'm saying? And it was just a very frustrating time. And like I say, it got to the point to where the truth, like me being right, just meant more than the relationship. I didn't even care how she felt. I didn't care about anything. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even see her in those moments as a person anymore. It was just like, I just saw her as an obstacle that's trying to prove to me that I'm not right. You know what I'm saying? Instead of this being a person that I care about, instead of me looking at her as a person who I love, a person who I want to see happy, the person who I want to, be a part of my happiness, me be a part of theirs. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see that as none of that. I literally just saw her as, you know, I'm right. And you're trying to show me that I'm not. So now I have to show you why I am. And that was it. It was just, but I never saw it at the time while I was in it. I didn't see it that way. I saw it as, no, this is what I got to do to show you that I'm right for this. Excuse me. And you're wrong for that. And and that was it. So that question just really kind of hit me because it just put me in a space where, again, I'm big on accountability. I'm big on looking in the mirror. And it put me in a space where I had to look myself in the mirror and, realize, especially at that time, man, again, at that time, I did know that I wasn't a great boyfriend, right? I knew that, but I didn't know how bad it was because I didn't see everything that I was doing. At least because I wasn't looking at the situation obviously through unbiased eyes. I was looking at everything through, no, there's a reason for that. There's a reason why I did that. And even if there was, you still did it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why for me, it's one of those things where that question put that mirror back in my face. That question brought the mirror back, and so now I can sit back and I can look and I can come on here and I can talk about, dang, I was this type of person. Man, I did do this. I did look at her this way. I did look at the relationship this way. So it was just one of those things where, man, that's a really good question to ask yourself. Like, in anything, in any situation, you could be in an argument with your friends and y'all could be really going through it, and you just really got to ask yourself, is my friendship really worth it? Is this, whatever it is that we beefing about, is it really worth it? Am I is the truth more important? Is being right more important than getting it right? Because I know, at least for me in my relationship, there were plenty of things that I could have just let go and that I probably should have let go. That probably could have eased a lot of tension between us. There are things that I could have just been like, I'm mad about this. This has me frustrated. I'm definitely annoyed. And there's going to be a time and a place where we do need to talk about this. But right now, in the heat of the moment, I know my partner well enough to know, and I know myself well enough to know this won't end well because we don't know how to communicate in a good way, in a healthy way when we're upset. So, it's just things that I wish that I would have had, tools that I would have wished that I would have had back then that I know could have helped lighten the tension and lighten the load on both of us, not just on me, but on her as well. And, we could have found better ways to communicate how we felt. And I wish that I could have caught myself and seen how, in the pursuit of being right, I'm turning her less human. I'm not even looking at her as a human being. I'm not looking at her as my girlfriend or as, somebody that I care about. I'm just literally I'm looking at her as an obstacle, something that's getting in the way of me being right, or something getting in the way of showing her that I'm right. You know what I'm saying? And it was like in those moments, she just like her opinions, her feelings, all of that stuff just did not matter in that moment. And it's crazy to think about now, but when I look back on it now, and I know that I'm right, and I've gone through everything, and I've made her feel like crap to get to the proof that I'm right, and I'm sitting here feeling justified, vindicated, victorious, and she's sitting there broken, miserable, hurt, crying, and I'm celebrating the fact that I'm right just because, again, excuses, right? But just because being in that relationship when neither one of us were ready for a relationship, neither one of us is ready for the amount of work, the amount of compromise, the amount of grace, the amount of understanding, the amount of compassion, energy that was going to have to be put into making a healthy working relationship work. Neither one of us was ready for that. And so, it did way more harm than good. But because I can acknowledge it, I can I can see it. I can be fair enough when I look myself in the mirror and say, hey, these are some major holes for you. And I know for a fact that I'm in a better place because of that relationship. Again, like I've always said, I hate that we had to put each other through that. But I'm so thankful that we did because I'm in a better place now because of it, you know. So for me, again, it just that question just brings up a lot of mixed feelings for me because it allows me to look myself in the mirror. It allows me to look at another part of my personality, the person that I was or the person that I'm trying to get away from being. And it's something else that I now can put into my bag of things that I need to think about before I say, things that I need to think about before I respond, things that I need to think about before I react to things. Am I doing this just to be right? Or am I doing this to get it right? What's more important? And why is it more important? And how far am I willing to go to prove these points? And they're very important questions that I have to ask myself because now that I've looked in the mirror, I know that I can go to some very dark places just to try to prove that I'm right. I know that I can be very hurtful and not care about anybody's emotions and in my mind build this reason to justify what I'm doing because I can honestly say, looking back on it, I never felt bad about being right. I never felt bad about making this person that I care about feel miserable just to get my point across. It never one time made me feel like, why am I doing this? Is it really that important? Is it really that serious? I can honestly say I never once had that thought, never once had that emotion, never once when we got off the phone or got through texting or whatever it was, or we had the conversation and, face to face and we go our separate ways. Not once did I think that wasn't even worth it. Let me go apologize. Let me go see how she's doing. Let me check on her. And it was just like, you know, it was one of those things again, because like I said, I know that I was a way better friend than a boyfriend, but it makes me realize how bad of a boyfriend I was and how bad of a emotional provider and protector I was. I was terrible at that, providing a safe emotional space and protecting her emotions from me. Like one of the few people that, she shouldn't have to worry about protecting herself emotionally from, or at least not as much as she had to from me. It's a lot. It's a lot to really just process when I really sit down and I really think about it. But yeah, being right was way more important than getting it right. I don't even think getting it right, meaning just getting our relationship right, was ever a thing for me. I don't even think that that was ever really something that I considered in those moments. Now, when things were good, of course, I considered, let's get it right. But when I got triggered, and it's like, no, I'm right for feeling this way, or I'm right for saying that, or I'm right for doing that. Whenever that response got triggered of no, I'm right, all that went out the window. I wasn't worried about the relationship. I wasn't worried about the future. I wasn't worried about her. The only thing that was on my mind was, let's get this right. I need to be right. Let's get these records clear. Let the record show, hey, I'm right. I did. She did this. I did this, or this situation happened. I responded this way. That those were the only things that mattered to me, was getting that understanding of, hey, this is why I did this. That's what mattered to me, not, you know, her responses and, her, how those things made her feel. None of that even registered for me. It was literally like she was in some mental blind spot for me, to where I didn't even see that. I didn't see the hurt that I was causing. I didn't see the pain, the frustration, the emotional and mental quicksand that I was putting her in. I didn't see any of it. I literally just saw, it's like one of them things, like when you see red, when people say, hey, I'm hangry and I just see red. It was just like one of those things when that response got triggered in me, like, no, I'm right. Or, you question, how dare you question me? Were you not there? Did we not just experience the same thing? Did you realize what you just said to me? Whatever the case may have been, it once that gets triggered, I just saw red. I didn't see my relationship. I didn't see my girlfriend. I didn't see, you know, any of that. I just saw, no, I gotta go prove that I'm right. That's it. That's all that I saw was the facts, or my view of the facts, my opinion on the facts. Because, again, there's things when I sit back and I think about it, it's like, nah, I was wrong, you know, because my understanding has changed from what it what was that, 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago. My understanding has changed from what it was back then. Wasn't it 3? Yeah, 3 to 4 years ago. My understanding has changed. My viewpoints have changed. My eyes have opened to so many more things. And now I can sit back on some of those same arguments. And it's like, dang, yeah, no, I was completely in the wrong. Or, man, I way overreacted. Or, man, it really wasn't that serious. So it definitely makes it even worse now, just kind of sitting back thinking on it. But again, like I say, I'm thankful that I went through it. I'm thankful that, it kind of, that situation led to me losing. As crazy as it may sound, I'm thankful that that situation led to me losing a lot, a lot of things that I had, because I needed it. I needed to hit at least my version, or what I believe to have been rock bottom for me. And I needed to be there for a while, because I needed to understand that I put myself there. I can't keep blaming this person and that person, and, you know, trying to place blame at this person's foot, or, blame this situation, or blame, I could throw blame everywhere. But it was like, at some point I had to realize, no, I'm the reason why I'm here. I'm the reason why I'm going through everything that I'm going through. I need to figure this out. And it took me some time, like it took me time to figure out, hey, I'm the reason, but it also took me time to get to a point to where I was serious about doing something about it. So it took me like another year and a half to really start doing therapy, So it took me a while to really say, hey, I really want to do something about this. I knew I knew that I wanted to, but to really take the step to really start making phone calls about um, going to therapy, to really start doing questionnaires, to really, what I'm saying, start asking around, hey, you go to therapy, what you think about your therapist, all of that stuff. And so, but again, I'm thankful because if I don't hit rock bottom, I don't go to therapy, I don't start realizing, my eyes don't start opening up to who, I am or who I was and who I'm trying to be and how far that distance is and how much work I have to put into getting there. I don't start doing the podcast if I don't hit rock bottom. So a lot of wonderful, beautiful things have come from, going through that terrible experience again. I'll say it until I can't say it anymore. Hate that I put her through that. Hate that, she had to go through that. Hate that, you know, that it didn't work, that relationship didn't work. But I'm so thankful for where I am now because of it. But yeah, going back to, the topic, man, focusing on being right, man, it's, it was a very addictive thing and it was a very powerful thing for me. It controlled my life at that point in time in my relationship. Just, I mean, but just in life, it just controlled my life in general, because being right was one of the most important things to me. I it just ruined my relationship more than it ruined any other friendship because for most of my friendships it was like, all right, bro, I'm not whatever, man. We just won't. And we may not talk for a little while and then once the time blow over, go back to being cool or go back to talking to each other until the next argument or blow up and then the cycle goes over and over. But in the relationship it was different because you're trying to make it work and you care about this person, so you trying to, there is no, hey, we don't talk for a couple of months or we don't talk for a couple of weeks. It's you going right back into this and y'all haven't really discussed anything or, worked through anything that just happened, so you just trying to, my whole thing was just trying to bury it, like we just had this intense argument about this person being right, that person being right. Even if I feel like I'm right, you know, but I don't want to argue anymore because it's not getting anywhere. I still feel that anger, that energy still there. We're not resolving anything. And so, it's just that resentment and that anger and that frustration and just all of those things are just building up because we're not dealing with any of it. It's just piling up, piling up, piling up, and I'm just burying it, burying it, burying it. Resentment on top of resentment, hate on top of hate, anger on top of anger. So now I'm so easily triggered because I'm sitting on all of these negative emotions, and so is she. She's sitting on all these negative emotions. So we trigger each other so easy in a way. And the reason why I know that to be a fact is because people do the same things or similar things that she did back then. And there was a time when that would have triggered me. It didn't have to be her. It could have been anybody that did certain things and it would trigger me. Whereas now they'll do those things and I'm not gonna sit here and act like it ain't. I don't, in my head, in my mind, I don't like give an eye roll or here we go or oh that just annoyed, that just frustrates me. But that's the only reaction that they get. Is just like one of them just, and then I'll walk away. Whereas before, again, because I got to be right, I got to prove to you that I'm right. I got to prove that you're wrong in this situation. I'm not walking away because being right was more important than getting it right. Being right was more important than my mental stability. It was more important than my peace. It was more important than anything. You know what I'm saying? I will sit here and I will argue with you, get my blood pressure high, start going dizzy, getting headaches because I'm yelling and I'm screaming and I'm trying to show you why I'm right as opposed to just walking away. I'm literally damaging my body because of my high blood pressure and everything else that I'm going, that all the health issues that I had, just to be right. All the stress and the frustration that I put myself through just to be right. And again, it wasn't just with her. It was with anybody at that time. Like, you get to saying something that again, I'm very passionate about. And mind you, most of this stuff is just opinion. It's not facts. It's just opinion. I feel a certain way. And now I got to go try to prove to you that the way that you feel is wrong. And I'm not finna back down because being right was that important to me. You're a complete stranger. I don't know nothing about you. And now I'm in a heated conversation with you about your opinion about how you feel about something. Because I'm trying to tell you how to feel about something in your life. And so, yeah, it was addictive. And it put a strain on a lot of friendships, clearly put a strain on my relationship, and it put a strain on my body. And I didn't see it. I didn't see how much I was destroying myself because of this need to be right, this addiction to be right, to be, just to hear it and just to feel like I'm over somebody, to feel like, yeah, you were wrong and I'm right. I'm up here and you're down here. That's a superiority complex type thing, and it's just like, it wasn't worth it. It was not worth it one bit, and I wish that I would have had those tools to, hey, let's just agree to disagree. Or, hey, why don't we come back to this when we got cooler heads and we can talk in a normal voice and we're not being disrespectful or hateful towards each other. I wish that I would have had that, or just not cared, especially not necessarily with my relationship, but with the strangers, just not cared enough to even get to that point, to get to those places with those people. And in my relationship, just learn how to, that it's okay to walk away from this because it's becoming an argument. It's okay to walk away and come back when our minds are, in a better space. But again, you got to go through things to get a better understanding of things. And so, those are some of the things that I've had to go through to get to where I am now. But I'm so thankful that I've gone through them. But yeah, it's hard, kind of looking back and seeing and reminding yourself of the person that you used to be and how hurtful and how hateful I used to be and how full of just anger and vengeance and just venom I used to be. And, that just, it was so a part of who I was that I thought it was normal. It was so a part of my everyday life. It was so a part of who I was as a boyfriend that I thought that it was normal. I thought that it was okay to do these things. I didn't think twice about it. And so now looking back at it, man, it just is definitely a frustrating thing to really think about for me. And it's just one of those things where, I can't stress to people enough how important it is to go seek help. That certain things you're not going to be able to get through by yourself. Certain things you're not going to be able to handle by yourself because there's certain things that you don't even see that you're doing. Certain things that you don't even see. You know what I'm saying? You don't even see that certain things take over you at certain times in your life. And the things that you're doing are hurting the people that you care about. And, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. But, if I could give anybody any piece of advice, it would be number one, just take time to listen to the people around you, really asking them, how they feel, and just being okay, or at least getting to the point where you can ask these people how they really feel, and just hear them out. Like, even if it's something you don't want to hear, even if it's something that frustrates you, but just take the time to genuinely hear them out, because if you love them enough, their opinion should matter. How they see you, how you make them feel, if they're scared of you, if they don't like talking to you about certain things, if they feel like they can't talk to you about certain things, all of those things should matter, because these are people who you love, the people that you want to be around you, the people that, are your support, your circle when you're going through stuff. These are the people that you want to lean on. So, just hear them out when they're trying to tell you, hey, when you get like this, when you drink, when you blah, 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 whatever it may be, you turn into a monster, you turn into something else, you turn into, hear them when they say those things, because 9 times out of 10, it's probably true, especially if they're all saying the same thing. But, just understand that sometimes getting it right is way more important than being right. So sometimes you just got to walk away from situations because it's just not worth it. Sometimes getting that I'm right, response from somebody just ain't worth it. But, that's today's episode, man. I want to thank everybody for listening on whatever platforms y'all are listening on. I appreciate that. And to everybody watching on YouTube, please continue to like, comment, share, subscribe. I appreciate all the love that y'all send my way. And y'all have a blessed day.